So, fun fact about me, I'm an idiot. No, but something about me that you might not know is the fact that I really want to like poetry, okay? For years and years and years, I've tried to read poetry. I've bought poetry books in the past. I've read poems in classes. I've, Googled poem and read a poem. I don't know. A couple weeks ago, I went to Target, as I do, and I checked the book section, and I wasn't really looking for anything in particular, but sometimes I like to stop by and see if there's anything that catches my eye, any bad books that are just waiting to get trashed or something. And I saw this book in the poetry section, and I normally stay away from the Target poetry section because a lot of times it's very, not great. I just was really upset when I bought this book and it sucked, okay? The book that I decided to grab was this book called The Truth About Magic by Atticus. I don't freaking know. But this is just a poetry book with poems in it, and it's not great. But I don't want to say that this is not great because I do understand how somebody could absorb this and could enjoy it, but at the same time, some of these poems are borderline idiotic, and is it just me for thinking that this is stupid and bad, or is it the poems, okay? And so I thought that it would be fun to mark up all the dumb stuff and present it in a video and ultimately ask myself, is this poetry bad, or am I an idiot? So yeah, let's do it. So when I first opened up this book, things were immediately not looking great because before the book even starts, there's the dedication, and it just says, "This book is dedicated to a girl named Alina, a girl I never knew, who died in my arms." What does that even mean? At first, I thought that maybe it was some sort of a weird sentimental thing where he was having a baby and then it was a stillbirth. Is that insensitive? This is the dedication. What? I'm sorry, Atticus, but what the frick? So yeah, the beginning was stupid. But you know what? Let's read the first poem. We're on page 1. There's this stock image of a woman looking at, there's a moon. Okay, cool. This is page 1. What can go wrong? This book is for the daydreamers, the night thinkers, the summer skinny dippers, for anyone who ever said the night is young or watched the sunrise on a beach far from home. But mostly, it's for you. The quiet ones, at parties, looking out of windows, wondering about the start. What? I'm not here to just hate on well, actually, I feel like I am. But you know what? This doesn't seem like a poem. You know what that seems like? That seems like Avril Lavigne lyrics from 2006. Is it deep? Maybe, but also it's what? The first section is called Magic in Youth. Children see magic because they look for it. That's what a man named Christopher Moore said. Who is he? I don't freaking know. I don't know many things with any certainty, she said, but snuggling feels important. And then there's a Getty image of 2 people on a beach with their bare feet out. If you got a foot fetish, you might appreciate this book quite a bit. I don't know if you can see the sticker. This is a Target exclusive. So Atticus, our homeboy poetry of the decade, he annotated some of his poems. So I'll read the poem and then I'll read his little annotations, okay? Love exists somewhere between a girl pretending she can't open a jar of pickles and a boy pretending not to know she could. Which what does that even mean? I don't get it. The idea of this poem is that love, you need to believe in it. What does that have to do with pickles? Of course, feel free to swap around the sexes and make this fit for you. What does that even mean? What would you be opening? And what would your lover be opening? What is this? Is this a Q&A about what I thought about your poem? I just don't know if I understand the significance of the pickles, I can't wait for every comment on this video to just be people telling me what the poetry means. It's gonna be really fun. Okay, this next poem I feel is one that hits just really close to my heart. It says, "We tangled in bed sheets, skateboarded in rainstorms and rode subways to jazz clubs." Who the frick does that? You were an actress and we were a film, and like all good movies, we ended in love. Credits down, kissing to sunsets under Brooklyn bridges. I do get emotions sparked within me when I read that, but not because of the quality of the poem, but because it reminds me of Hannah Montana if we were a movie, yeah, you. This one was my personal favorite just because it wasn't very self-aware. He was one of the bad boys, the smoldering kind that smokes cigarettes and drinks whiskey right out of the bottle, the kind you can't keep past sunrise and you don't really care. So let's take a moment to unpack that. He was one of the bad boys, okay? He was the smoldering kind with no emotions, okay? And he smokes and drinks. He's an alcoholic. And he leaves in the morning and you don't care. Like, what kind of emotional reaction am I supposed to get out of that? We grow old chasing the truths we knew as children. But, like, that makes me uncomfortable because when I was a kid, I thought that Mexico was a continent. This section is called Magic in Love, with a stock photo of two people kissing, maybe on a mountain. Oh, I think it's a beach again. And it says, magic will find those with pure hearts, even when all seems lost. Stupid. There will be that moment when we look at someone for the first time in love with them. What? If I really, like, close my eyes, like, sink it in, it doesn't make sense. For the first time in love with them? Like, there's no commas. There's just, when you look at someone for the first time in love with them. So are you talking love at first sight? But then you say there will always be that moment. Like, is that deep, or are you just, like, saying a weird freaking thing, dog? We've reached another poem where Atticus tries to annotate his poems. The poem says, "Your sweater smells like you," she said. "I wish it were a magic sweater, so when I took it off and shook it, you would arrive into it like magic." Like, is that a poem? Or is that something that you say when you're, like, hammered drunk at 3 a.m? And then in his annotations, he says, "Who wants a magic sweater?" It literally feels like he's like a YouTuber who's, like, trying to up his engagement by, like, asking questions, knowing that he's not going to read them and he doesn't care about what you have to say. He just wants, like, his video to get pushed more. Atticus, leave me alone. Oh, and to make it even better, there's a stock image of a woman in a sweater. Hey guys, make sure to leave a comment. Would you want a magic sweater if you had the chance to have one? I'm curious, and I really care about your response. There's something magic about airports. It's like standing in a room with 1,000 doors. And like, Atticus, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, okay? I think that you're an intelligent guy. I feel like you're pretty cool. But like, that's not even an observation that like a person makes. You know who would say that? A child would say that. Like, if I went to an airport, you know what I'm worried about? I'm worried about getting my crap everywhere. I'm worried about like everything that I'm about to experience. Like, the thing that I'm not thinking about is like, look at all these doors. Like, I can't be the only one who thinks that's dumb, right? Wine will make fools of us all. The dosage just varies. Yeah, I love being an alcoholic. She was that kind of friend that after one drink would have you signing up for hip-hop classes, ordering bottles of tequila to other people's tables, and planning how to move to France. Get it? No, I don't. He highlighted the part where it says planning how to move to France, and he says, "Where would you move? Message me. Where? Where is Atticus? I'm going to Atticus right now, and I'm going to DM him where I'm going to move." His DMs are open. Oh my gosh, this is it, guys. So I just sent Atticus my DM about where I would move when I get drunk. I'm hoping that he'll respond. I'm not sure, though. I'm sure he's really busy being like a poetry man. So I'm just really hoping he gets back to me on that. Seems like a pretty cool guy. The next poem says, "Say what you will, but crazy isn't boring." But like, what I'm kind of upset about is that there's a black and white stock photo of like a butt. Like, this is the Christian poetry reading. It's a sin. Like, I'm out here trying to just enlighten myself and learn, but then you do this to me. So, I think that this poem right here is probably the stupidest poem in the book. Swimming pools were invented to kiss girls in the rain, and if they weren't, they should have been. Like, is that like a deep poem to some people? Like, is that something where you're like, maybe swimming pools were invented for kissing. Like, if that's like something that you've thought before, like, I respect you. I'm sure that you're intelligent and cool, but also, like, what the frick? Like, I am so sorry, but like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I like the type of poems where like it makes you think, and this doesn't make me think anything. It just makes me think really judgmental thoughts. And I'm really sorry about it. Atticus, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry, but like, that's stupid. You're a tall pour of half-drunk whiskey, my pigeon-toed gypsy. That's the type of thing that I would write if I was making fun of someone's poetry. That sounds like a slur. But also, what? Like, maybe I need to meditate on it. Like, you're my tall half-pour of whiskey, pigeon-toed gypsy. Do you think if I tweeted that, I would get, like, shadow banned? Chances are, it's in all caps, which is pretty threatening, but chances are, you're somebody's girl next door. You think so? I mean, I have, like, neighbors on both sides of me, and it's, like, pretty early right now, so they're probably, like, really freaking mad at me for screaming. But you know what? Maybe they think that I'm, like, the girl next door. Like, what do you think? You think that they just think that I'm so cool? Yeah, they do. So up until this point, I've respected Atticus. Actually, no, I haven't. Up until this point, I thought that, like, Atticus had the type of love for this random chick in, like, a normal way, where it's just like, I like you a lot. But this poem really caught me off guard, y'all. I'll forever kiss you in public places. People can hate it if they like. I don't mind. I'd still rather the kisses. What does that even... That's the dumbest wording I've ever heard. Now it's just confirmed that y'all are nasty, right? And y'all are, like, PDAing up a scene, okay? Like, I'm not out here trying to, like, police what you gotta say, but, like, that's freaking nasty, and I don't like that, okay? The next section of this book is Magic in Darkness, so I'm, like, very prepared to take this very seriously. I'm not gonna be joking around because obviously this is some really deep stuff, and the last thing I want to do is offend Atticus in his personal traumas, so I will be taking this very seriously. I'm expecting that this is gonna move me, but then again, I've already read all these and they're dumb, so don't waste a second of your life convincing people you're worth loving. Yes, it was the end of love. It was the end of love, the beginning of truth, as if the first time they ever met was the day they said goodbye. First of all, I don't know if I even know what that means. I'm just taken off guard because it said end of love. And I don't know if you know my girl Florence Welsh. She's got this song called The End of Love. Wash away, wash away. Reaching in the dark. I know that my neighbors probably really appreciate that. But you know what else they appreciate? Me. Because I'm the girl next door. No. Life isn't that bad. Just today. Today sucks. Today's the effing worst. But probably not tomorrow. Or even the next day. Yeah. The next day might be effing sweet. What the frick? That's dumb. Like, that's not even a poem. That's something that, like, I muttered under my breath, like, 3 weeks ago when I got a C on a paper, you know? How beautiful you are, he said. A tapestry of scars. The only notable scar that I have is like a little scar behind my ear because one time I was playing soccer in a church basement and I went to score a goal and then I went to kick the ball and I missed the ball and then I like fell and I smacked my head and my head hit like a table. And so I have a scar behind my ear because of that, but like that's not a tapestry. That's just like a dumb freaking thing I did. But is he the tapestry of scars? And if so, why is he talking to me like Yoda? How beautiful you are, he said, the tapestry of scars. Does Yoda talk like that? How does Yoda talk? I haven't seen Star Wars in like so very long. No. How beautiful you are? No. I just feel like it's getting offensive. I'm gonna cut it out. So this next section is called Magic in Words. Poetry at the wrong time is madness. Poetry at the right time is magic. I'm just thinking that maybe this is his like rebuttal because I think he's realizing that like this book is not good. And he was like on deadline and so he just knew that he wrote some stinkers and he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put a poem saying, like, if you don't like this, you're probably reading it at the wrong time. Maybe these poems are all really, really, really good. And maybe I'm really dumb. I wish that at the end of all the books that I've ever hated, it was just like, you probably didn't read this the right way. I guess this book is amazing, even though every page made me want to vomit. Your scars are not your shame, he said. They're your story. And I love stories. What a perfect sound, he said. That laugh, like when the sun warms your face through the clouds, that doesn't really give me an interesting picture in my head. That kind of reminds me of the Teletubbies and like the baby sun. Seems a shame to leave now, the old man said. I was just getting the hang of things. Like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Like, I get it, right? Like, I get, like, he's the old man and he's dying. That's actually upsetting to think about, but he's old and he's dead, right? And like he was like finally understanding like what the frig is going on, because he was faking it for so long, and like he's finally learning what the hell is going on. I was rooting for that old man. No, I wasn't. When two people who have never met enter a room for the first time, and without saying a word, their souls just sit there, vibrating to each other's song. I want to give Atticus the benefit of the doubt, right? Because I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know his experiences. But I know for me, I've never experienced my soul vibrating before. Like, maybe that's not love, Atticus. You know what that is? That's coke addiction. Like, I've never been sitting next to someone and just being like that's withdrawals from heroin. So I feel like after reading that and trying to figure out what the frick that was all about, I went on a deep dive to try and figure out who the frick Atticus is, because there's very little information about him out there. And so I went onto YouTube and I found some author interviews, and he is a very, very interesting person.
This is incredible. I've never been here, and these are beautiful books.
For some reason, Atticus wears a mask whenever he does any sort of an interview or public thing, which I think is kind of cool just because it's like, he could be among us.
It's a little hot in here. Do you mind if I take off my mask?
Maybe he's the one that's next door. Maybe he wrote that poem about me. That I'm the girl next door. Atticus is the you. If it is, I've heard him singing some pretty offensive songs, and I'm pretty sure that he didn't stop himself from saying the N-word while singing those songs. So can you imagine reading Shakespeare in class and then like looking him up online or something, or reading like his biography, and like you see a picture of like some guy wearing like a Party City mask? You know, I hope that in like 50 years my grandchildren get home from school and I just hope that they're like, I just got this poetry assignment for my English class and I have to analyze it. It's really, really hard to understand. I'm like, I'll help you. I'm an old man. I know what's going on. And then like I flip through and it's like, swimming pools should have been invented so I could kiss a girl. And I'm just like, he literally says in an interview that the reason he started to write poetry was because he saw a pretty girl and then she smiled at him.
If I'm to be honest, I saw the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. And she smiled at me.
Like, that's like cute, right? Like, wow. But also like, what the frick? So even though I wasn't a big fan of any of these poems, I do think that poetry is something that's really hard. It's really hard to understand what the frick is going on, but it's also really hard to write. So I'm not saying that Atticus isn't talented. I did think that maybe I should attempt to write some of my own poetry. I'm gonna take what I've learned from Atticus in his writing and apply it to mine. So this first poem that I wrote is this poem that I spent days trying to think of the right words for, agonizing for so long. In this poem, it means a lot to me, so please be respectful. The American dream is big booze, big boobs, and a little bit of lovin'. Yes, that is right. Did that move you to tears? It sure did to me. This next one is one that I thought of while I was on Instagram Live. It says, I hate doing stuff without perfecting it. Can y'all hear me good? Big boobs. What? Child. Anyway, so I work so hard perfecting it. And still, it's just big boobs, you know? Like, what? My mother's breast must have been full of liquor, for I am an alcoholic. To me, this poem really just signifies the fact that I am an alcoholic. I don't drink, but the poems that I've read show that to be a good poet, you need to drink a lot of alcohol. Maybe that's the secret to poetry. You just gotta get hammered. I feel like a garden gnome. Everyone loves me, but I have no purpose. Except for drinking liquor and late night kisses. Retweet if it moved you, I don't know. Poop. People order our patties. Kissing her was like that feeling when you feel good. Amazing. So I found a couple of reviews on Goodreads of this poetry book, and I thought that I would share them because what the frick. So Danica Logan, she gave it 5 stars and she said, I will read this over and over again. Every single poem was stirring. What does stirring mean? But you know what? That's fine. You're telling me that Danica, she read a poem that literally said, I am so many mountains more than the way you make me feel. And she was stirred. I guess in a way I was stirred as well. I don't even think I know what that word means. But I was, in fact, stirred. More like turd, right? Kristen Pizzazz says, this poetry never ceases to astonish me with how relatable it is. Yeah, I know. That poem about that old man dying really hit me close to home. It reminded me so much of the fact that my grandfather is dead. So thanks for that, Atticus. So I guess that was it. I feel like in this process, I've learned so much. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about Atticus. And I've learned a lot about magic and love. And alcohol. On a completely unrelated note, this video was sponsored by Atticus. Actually, I have a funny confession to make. You know how Atticus wears the mask? I'm Atticus. Atticus, if you're watching this, I am so sorry. But also, can you please respond to my DM? Like, I'm seriously, like you told me to message it to you, and I did, and you haven't said anything yet. And like, I'm starting to feel like you're just like leaving me on red. Please respond.